Welcome to Shop Talk Live, episode number 190. Today, Anissa and Barry sit down with me and we discuss what kind of wood we would assemble our stash out of, whether a listener should buy a jointer planer combo or a bandsaw, and hollowing the backs of Western-style chisels. And of course, we recap Fine Woodworking Live 2019. And again, Anissa comes out swinging pretty hard with her smooth move. But first, I want to tell you about a video that we published this week on finewoodworking.com. It's a factory tour of Oneida. I was able to go up there and they showed me around. I made a little tour video for everyone. It's really interesting to see how they manufacture their dust collection systems right here in the United States. And I also want to tell you about an interview video that we're publishing this week. Sitting down with Robert Witter, the owner of Oneida, and Jeff Hill, their CTO, telling us a little bit about the history of Oneida and how they go about creating products. And they tell us about some constructive criticism that they got back in the day.
I think, sometimes you have to look back at when we first introduced the Dust Deputy, which was first feedback from a customer on the forum was that Dust Deputy looks like stupid plus shipping. It seems like Oneida has lost it. It's true. Remember that? Stupid plus shipping, Oneida's lost it. And we're like, oh, God.
So check that out on finewoodworking.com. All right, let's get to the show. We've got a fun one for you. Fine Woodworking Live is in 2019 is in the books.
That means it's over. It's done.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Smooth start.
Did everyone have fun?
Yeah, despite how incredibly busy it was.
Yeah.
And how much my feet still kind of hurt.
Really?
It was. Yeah, I didn't wear the right shoes.
Oh.
But it was a blast.
Yeah. It's always like, I always talk about it as people say, oh, your wedding, you'll never remember a moment of your wedding. And like, that was true. And Fine Woodworking Live is the same way, where it's like, you see everyone you know, and you don't get to talk to any of them.
Right.
Where like, it's just following up emails being like, hey, we didn't get to talk. It's like, I know, I didn't get to talk to anyone. I wasn't avoiding you. I was avoiding everyone.
But you weren't actually, you were just working.
Yeah.
But it gets worse and worse every year because we meet more people every year, and there are so many repeat people that you want to talk to every year that you just don't get the chance.
And then like throughout the course of the year, you like build up like this catalog of things you want to talk to them about because they posted this on Instagram or like, oh, I want to ask you how you did that. And then you don't get to do any of it.
So who got to see Beth Ireland?
I didn't.
No, neither?
No, but I've heard rave
like
reviews
everybody
from so many
who was
people.
in there is.
We can't both speak at the same time.
For those who are not viewing this, Anissa just pushed Ben.
I didn't push. I just tapped.
Prodded.
So were either of you aware of how awesome she is beforehand? Because I knew she was a
No.
turner, and people were like, oh, she's a great turner, but
I knew her work was awesome, but I didn't know like her teaching style and her personality was as fantastic as everybody. I mean, rave from everybody.
Yeah. Everybody raved.
If she could have presented the phone book, and I would have been engrossed. She was incredible.
Do they make phone books anymore? Is there?
They do. I'm trying to remember where I saw one.
Just to
Garbage.
keep that reference alive.
I just threw mine out when I moved.
That was like 10 years ago.
No,
Oh.
at my office.
Oh, when you moved office. Okay.
Just like 2 weeks ago.
Did you see Beth Ireland, Jeff?
I spoke with her, but I was not in her class, no.
Okay. Who else did you see?
Gochner, who knocked it out of the park. It's because you've done a shoot with him.
He brought the curliest piece of wood I've ever seen.
And he tamed it. Oh, he tamed it.
I picked up and I looked at him and I'm like, no. And he's like, mm-hmm. And I was like, eh.
Yeah, he's an incredible teacher. Because shoots, it's just one-on-one.
Yeah.
And I know he's taught for decades, but I never put it together that teaching for decades will make you a fantastic teacher. Watching him in front of the classroom, they were just in his hands. He
Yeah.
was
I think you only last teaching for decades if you're a fantastic teacher.
Right, like
I don't know if it goes the other way around. You don't become fantastic by doing it.
Oh, okay, fair.
Yeah.
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 I could see that.
One of my favorite things was I ran camera for Bob Van Dyke twice, and he was doing table saw techniques. And the first time, Bob loves to like turn on the fire hose of information. He's like, I'm going to teach you everything I know about table saws. And then like halfway through, there's always like, oh my God, I just tried to squeeze 4 hours of content into an hour and a half long thing. Because Bob has so much information that he wants to give you. So he always, in the middle, tweaks it and turns it around. And my favorite part, though, was watching him screw up a little miter box.
That was your favorite part?
That was the best because it's like, he was making a little miter box to check that, to show how he checks if his blade is at 45 degrees. And it didn't quite come together. And it was like, yeah, no one really expected it to come together. But on the second one, he absolutely nailed it. And when he 100% nailed it, the entire audience applauded, like
Standing
a
ovation.
cooking show. And it was like, oh my goodness, there's Bob Van Dyke, and then let's applaud. And I just couldn't help myself. I said, he didn't get it the first time. And I had to throw him under the bus. But
Did he deliberately not get it the first time?
no.
Oh.
No. It was like the blade was probably at 45.1, and it just didn't come together perfectly. But it was a great moment when that audience applauded. But I only got to see him, and I got to see Chris Schwarz. And I've actually seen that presentation before, and that's one of the reasons why he did it, because it was like, I told Tom, I was like, this presentation's fantastic. Doing angled joinery without math. And Chris is just, he's got that staked compound angle joinery thing absolutely down. Great presentation. But
How about you, Anissa?
What?
what'd you see?
I ran camera for Chris Bexford and Steve Latta and Danielle Rose-Bird. And I was supposed to run it for Garrett, but he kicked me out. Just because it was the last session on Sunday, and it was a small enough group. Well, it started out, he thought it was going to be small enough that everybody could gather around, but he just wasn't patient enough, because when I looked back in, there were about 30 people in there. But he seemed to be okay. And I had never seen Danielle Rose-Bird work, and so that was the coolest thing to just...
She's out of this world.
Yeah, and her work is so amazing. Mm-hmm. And it's so different from the stuff that I usually photograph that I was really excited about being in there. And I wasn't disappointed. And then I work with Chris and Steve Latta a lot, so I thought, well, this is good because I'll be familiar with the way they operate, and it'll be easier camera work. And it was. Well, Steve Latta moves around a lot.
He doesn't stop.
I'm just like,
wind him.
with the camera. But it was really interesting to see them in a different setting. Normally, I see them in the shop and we're stopping, but to see them both teaching was really amazing, and they're really good at it.
Yeah.
And it's very, it's the same personality, but they are right on, and you can tell when somebody's a good teacher because there aren't any questions that throw them off. Mm-hmm. And they're just so calm about everything, and they're so confident in what they do, and it just seems so easy and effortless, and as though they're having a conversation. And, I was just watching them thinking, like writing things down on in my notes on my phone saying, oh, but this would make a great article, and this would make a great article, because it was just slightly different from having a manuscript and doing it with them, but they all have really cool stuff to show everybody. I think that it's cool when the presenter or the presenters say the same things that the attendees say, that the staff all says, I just didn't have enough time to go and see all the things that I want. Even the presenters are saying that about the other presenters.
Yeah.
And so all the different groups are saying the same thing. We must be doing something right.
Yeah, it speaks for the lineup.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's people tell us that as a negative. It's like, I wish we could have done more. I wish we could have more classes. And it's like, well, maybe we can make the lineup weaker next year. But
Right.
I don't know.
It's just me and Ben playing catch.
There is, what was the other thing that I'm trying to remember? There was something as you were talking, and just there's so many good presentations.
Bob. I was helping Bob set up. And I'm like, do you get any free periods? Where you get to like eat some food or take a nap? He goes, no, I really want to see Steve's presentation.
Yeah,
I was like,
and
you
it's
and
like, you
Steve
guys-
like hang out.
Yeah.
All the time.
Right.
Yeah.
Like you could just have this conversation over some Vietnamese one day at your school. And it was to see Bob get that excited about a
Yeah.
guy he's known for decades and just like kicks it with. That was pretty incredible.
Yeah, there was an Instagram post. I think I mentioned it to you guys. Somebody took a photo of the back of Brian Boggs' head watching, I can't remember who he was watching.
No, it was Michael Fortune, I think. But he was in Schwarz's too. And it was crazy because at some point you think like, here's one of the world's most preeminent chair makers in a chair making class. And I look over and he was engrossed.
Right. Yeah, they're all
like
so,
taking notes. And it was like, maybe this is why these woodworkers are so talented, because the thirst for knowledge is still there. It's still strong within them,
Yeah.
The force is strong.
But the podcast was great.
That was fun.
And Ben, you are Ben. You and Vic are hilarious together. But it was cool to see Nancy and the Raycon guys talking about their stuff and Chris on the podcast. But you and Vic are really, you need a show together.
We had fun. Vic and I, we
probably couldn't air that show.
We probably
could
couldn't air it. we just try and like gross each other out, and our thresholds are both pretty high. So, but all right. So I would like to surprise you guys with a new segment.
Uh-oh.
It's called Text from Anissa.
Oh, no, Ben.
This could be a new podcast.
You can't wait.
The bounty.
All right, so this one was sent to me on April 1st of 2019, and this one's actually legitimately about the podcast. She goes, okay, I have another podcast question. She just randomly texts me ideas. Does everything you do relate to woodworking? When I see something being cut, like a block of cheese or something, it's getting cross-cut. When I'm making my kids sandwiches in the morning, I fold out the bread to make sure I book match the pieces of bread.
You have to book match the pieces, otherwise they don't come together the right way.
So what other ways does woodworking enter your life?
Why am my name dropped?
Well, no, I like the follow-up, which was a week later. I texted Anissa, and there's got to be a story here, and I can't remember what it was. Nobody wants to work with Barry, but here we are. I don't know why I texted that to you.
Love the ones you're with, Ben, okay?
And then, do you have a picture of Chris Bexford smiling?
I have lots. I sent you
Yes,
at
I know
least
you did.
7.
You did. I know. I just thought that was a good representation of the dynamic of the text messages that go around between the staff here at Fine Woodworking. So what ways does woodworking enter into your? I'm always equating like mowing the lawn with grain direction.
Oh.
That's good. I think I resaw blocks of cheese.
You resaw them?
So they fit better into. So they make a wall between these like kind of
the containers.
No, sometimes I'll bring in an omelet type snack, and the cheese acts as a barrier with the fruit. So like the orange doesn't contaminate my Thai style omelet. Those are weird flavors together.
Okay.
So, but I have to resaw it, so it's not a big chunk. It's like 2 pieces that are wider, longer.
Jeff, we're all looking at Jeff now. All of a sudden.
Yeah, you must have some good ones.
I don't know. I've never thought of it this way, so I guess that's telling, isn't it?
You don't need enough cheese.
But there's
Or you're more well-rounded.
I always think of like honestly the only time that it enters into my head is grain direction, where if anything is going opposing another one, even traffic, I relate it to grain direction.
Okay, so if you're petting a cat in the wrong direction,
Oh,
has
they
the
hate
metaphor
that.
flipped? Like, people say, think about grain direction like petting a cat. Do you think about petting a cat like planing a board?
No.
Okay.
No.
So it hasn't flipped. The metaphors haven't.
No, but that's a good question.
Has it
You're
flipped?
giving me the face like it isn't a good question.
Well, here's the question. Has it flipped for you? When you pet a cat, do you think of plating a board?
Yeah. Yeah, I do. And when I like ruffle up a dog's head, I'm like, I'm just messing it up.
Do you ever pick up the cat and turn it around?
Please don't say you put a cat in a planer.
No, but that's vice.
Whose idea was this? There's a reason why we haven't all been on the podcast
technically it was-
together.
yeah. Oh yeah, Tom's idea. So
Ben, yesterday
T. McKenna at
in the morning, you're like, hey, Barry, can you do a podcast? I'm like, sure. And he said, it'll be me, you, and Anissa. You know what? Wait, maybe never mind. And then an hour later, he goes, I'm going to need you for that podcast tomorrow.
All right, let's answer some questions. But leave in the comments. Leave your woodworking life relations. That sounded weird.
What's wrong with it?
Yeah. All right. So question number 1 from Tom. I'm now semi-retired and finally have the time to create a decent wood shop. I've moved to the Florida Panhandle, where there are few hardwood dealers. You didn't think about that, did you? In late May, I'll be in Tennessee, so I intend to stop at a hardwood dealer / mill near Nashville. Email me, and I'll give you all of the places to eat in Nashville. Given the projects on my to-do list, I'll be picking up walnut, cherry, and ash. I also have my eye on some black locust, poplar, box elder, and catalpa. Given the list of woods on the dealer's inventory list, I feel like a kid in a candy store. I'd be interested in your collective wisdom about how one might go about stocking a new shop with wood, especially given the fact that the nearest hardwood dealer for a hobbyist is 5 to 6 hours away. You're very fortunate to live where you do from a woodworking perspective, but I'll take our weather over yours. We haven't told him about the antique tools available here in the Northeast, because those two combine to top any weather. But all right, so he's got quite a list already.
Anissa has a wood stockpile.
Do you?
Yeah, I kind of do. But, a huge bulk of that is because I had a maple tree in my yard that I had milled on site. And I traded somebody like climbing gear or something for a bunch of walnut logs at one point, and I had those milled up.
What a very specific trade.
I know, right? What kind of friends do you have?
Well, he was an arborist, I think. And
Oh,
so
cool.
he was cutting down a lot of trees.
So, do you like the security blanket of having a bunch of wood?
Yes, no. It takes up a lot of space and it's stickered. I have all these flitches all over.
Yeah.
And it's great and it's all air dried. But I have a lot that I've accumulated over the years too. It's great to have it there. I don't ever have to worry about going out and getting wood unless it's something really specific. And I kind of have the space for it. If you don't have the space, then you have to kind of order as you're using, pick it up as you're using it.
I always, for me, the answer to this question is he nailed it on the first sentence of, some cherry and ash and walnut. I don't see myself needing, unless, again, for a very specific thing, needing anything other than a stash of cherry and ash, really. But I would add pine into the equation.
Yeah.
If I was going to a lumber
Yeah.
yard and I couldn't get pine, nice eastern white pine easily, I would definitely stock up on pine.
I wonder if that's his second. So he mentions poplar. I wonder if that's his secondary wood.
Oh, that's true too.
Because
that might be.
in that region, there's not. Well, I guess there'd be southern yellow pine, but I know
Well,
poplar
yeah,
is big.
but he could probably go to a big box store and get southern yellow pine.
Okay.
Which that's one thing that if I was going to Tennessee with a trailer,
You talk about this monthly.
I would stock up on southern yellow pine. I miss it so much. Cheap yellow pine.
Okay. So I have a different take. I don't like the idea of stocking up on wood. I feel like you're going to forget about it. So he
But he's
mentioned
5 to 6 hours away.
So
5 to 6 hours isn't that long.
You drive like 2 hours into work each way. So I think you're a little.
So maybe before, because I don't. Hopefully you haven't made this trip yet, Tom. But there are resources.
It sounds like a bird.
What?
Sounds like a bird.
Him today.
Hating myself right now.
That was Ben's water bottle, not a little Tweety bird. So I popped onto Google Maps and typed in his hometown and did lumber yards near where this dude lives.
Yeah.
And I got some back. And then I checked out some. So, I mean, they're over in Gainesville and Tallahassee, but closer than 5 hours. He's close to Mobile, I think. There's a lumber yard there.
Did he give his hometown?
Yeah, it's under his SIG.
Okay. I didn't see that.
There's also Popular Woodworking has a lumberyard finder.
Yeah.
And I know Ben and I, we both went onto it, but it just gives by town.
It used to have a map, and I hope they fix that.
So we weren't really, we would have to go town by town looking.
There was a place in on the Popwood page. There was a place in Mississippi,
Okay.
Gulfport, Mississippi.
All right.
Which, if he's in the Panhandle, could be by him. I didn't look up by his town, so.
But so there are places around that aren't Atlanta, it seems. And even if, like, so with the Google Maps, if you get one, and
Google Maps.
I've been hanging out with Betsy and Liz too much. Call them, see what. So some of these, like the one in Mobile, seem to have a really good selection. Call them, see what they have. If they don't have it, ask if they know anyone else. I mean, it's not. I can't imagine being an enormous industry running a lumber yard around the Florida Panhandle. So if there's one, maybe know others, because I found ones that didn't have websites; they were just phone numbers.
Yeah, and there's mills. There's got to
Yeah.
be like architectural mills around you that maybe you can buy lumber with or from.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it might be 5 to 6 hours, and if that is the case, I think I would stock up.
Yeah,
I think I would stock up on the go-tos, but
Well, you can also have it mail ordered,
Yeah.
and when you weigh that out with a 5 or 6 hour drive each way,
that's true.
you don't get to choose what you're getting. And I would add cypress into that because cypress.
There's a lot of cypress down
there's
there.
a lot
Okay.
of cypress down there, and it's really pretty.
I wonder if you can get cypress from like a local mill, you know, like a Woodmiser guy.
So a lot of places that I didn't list on my notes, it's because they only had cypress, or it was like cypress and pine. I mean, you know, just like they were very limited. But those seemed to be, there were two for every one that I found that had like hardwoods and softwoods.
And poplar you should be able to get locally. I would think it would be cherry and walnut and ash that would be hard things to get because they're not growing in Florida.
I guess I just mentally have a hard time keeping track of what I have on hand. Like if I'm building
Because it's in
something.
my shop.
Is that the problem?
Maybe.
All right. That's fair.
Because Ben's been using it.
No, he came into work. He's like, "Hey Barry, did you have a? I forget what it was. This kind of board?" I'm like, "I don't know." He goes, "Cause I used it."
Oh yeah, yep. There's a piece of beach.
I was
think.
kidding when I said that, but
Well, it happens.
well, but it also having it on hand adds a lot of pressure too, because every time you walk past those boards, you think of, oh yeah, I plan on making this out of that, but it never happens.
Yeah.
And
Does it suck some of the fun out of it for like a hobbyist?
I don't know, maybe.
I don't know.
I don't know. I have always dreamed of having flitches all throughout my yard with tarps lying around, and you know, like that's 5-year plan,
Yeah.
just like a bunch of wood all over the yard, you know. So I think I'm a little bit off on that. I want a stash. But
You've been hanging out with Tetro too much.
yeah, and John's like, no more tarps in the yard. I can't have any more tarps. But
You have to build the sheds like Michael Fortune.
Oh yeah.
and have
Yeah.
a mill like
Yeah.
Michael Fortune. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I've told you. I told Kay, I was like, I think one day we're going to get a mill. She was like, yeah, cool.
You could put it in the house next to the shave horse.
That's just crazy.
That's where I draw the line.
All right, let's question number 2. Barry has strong opinions on this one. Is from Richard. Have you ever heard of hollowing the backs of Western chisels? To speed the process of flattening the back of a chisel, my buddy first hollows the center to a depth of about 1 to 2 thousandths of an inch with a Dremel sanding flap attachment. The edges and toe are not touched by the sander. My buddy says that it's because the hollow is so slight, it's easy to reflatten the back and establish a new flat spot as is to reestablish. Sorry, should have added that part. Establish a new flat spot. As it is to reestablish the cutting edge of a worn Japanese chisel. So he's taking his chisel and using just a little sanding flap to hollow the inside of Western back chisel.
Go.
No. Well, okay. But he's not using it on the Dremel. He's just hand.
No.
No, that has to be powered.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. I checked, I looked for this, and I saw a guy on YouTube, and it actually, when I saw him doing it, it made so much sense.
So the Dremel is just so you have something to hold.
It's just, no. The video that I saw was actually very smart. He taped off he put his chisel upside down on the bench, and he taped off the bottom and the side. So he just had a little narrow bit showing on the back of the chisel, and he held the attachment for the little wheel for the Dremel in his fingers and just gently,
No.
yes. And it created,
How long was the video?
it was 1 minute and 58 seconds.
It sounds like that would take hours.
No, he
Right.
just did it a little bit by hand because he said, I'm just taking a tiny bit off. And until I watched this video, I don't know if it's the same guy or not, but it was smart the way he taped it off. And like when I first read this question, I assumed it was in the Dremel and the power was on, and that's the way he was
Yeah, he
doing
doesn't
it.
say it says with the attachment, not with
That's
the
right.
Dremel.
Yeah. Okay.
So
We
it was
assumed.
Yeah.
it was smart, and it's not bad to have that hollow there because it's less work.
And he's not even. No, it is a hollow. So I wanted to hate this. I wanted to hate this so much, and I read it, and it was like, just flatten the back, dude. But so I really like it, and I think it's smart. And I've seen somebody mention it on a forum somewhere. I know a really well-respected woodworker who was always looking for innovative things did it, but she really hollowed the back to where you're not going to recover from it. He's taking really light passes. I kind of want to do it.
Wow. You turned quickly on that.
Yeah, because I went home. So Ben handed out the questions last night, or at the end of the workday yesterday. And as we're leaving, I said, I have some opinions about this chisel one. And I came in this morning and I started to think about it more. And it sounds great. So far, insofar as you can be very controlled with it.
I am just now remembering, and this is one thing that I love about technology, is that I've got Peter Galbert's book in front of me. I'm just now remembering that he does hollow the back of something. All right. On page 56 of Chairmaker's Notebook, he hollows the back of draw knives with a grinding burr and a drill.
Does Buchanan do this too?
I wonder. So yeah, Peter Galbert recommends it too. So
Did you just curse without cursing?
Yeah, I did, didn't I?
Wow.
That was masterful.
That was-
Yeah.
no audio edit there, people.
Right.
I'm gonna put an old timey horn in there.
Your brain fills it in.
Yeah.
You just got the right amount of timing in there.
Yeah.
And my brain just filled in the curse.
Ben, that was smart as. I didn't even say anything. Your brain just filled it in.
I'm going to try that with my kids.
You're gonna botch that one so bad.
No, I'm kidding. I'm not. I'm
mom
not
did
going to
that.
try that with my kids.
So my grandfather, her dad, he is like just the most teddy bear of a man as a grandfather. As a dad, apparently his Marine side was showed a little bit more. And so she didn't curse in front of him, I think even to this day. And my mom's 58, 9. But she went to like...
I know. That's what I was thinking too.
went to swear in front of him for the first time, and it was a 2-part swear. The first word's clean, second word's bad. And so she was going to run her hand over her mouth for the swear word. No, she switched it. So she covered the good word and just blasted out the curse at the end. She said her eyes got wide as dinner plates.
All right, Richard. I think
What do you think?
your buddy's onto something. I was right in the middle on this because I don't care how you get there, you get there. Flattening the back of a chisel to me is one of those things. Sit down in front of the TV, put a podcast on, whatever, just do it. It's going to take a while sometimes. But if you want to hollow it, fine, whatever. Like, I don't know if I would do it to a Lee Nielsen, but again, a Lee Nielsen doesn't need it. I don't know if I would do it to... Hell, I'd do it to a vintage Stanley because it's better to use the vintage Stanley.
Right,
and, chances are I'm buying it because it's cheap, and it might be cheap because the back needs hollowing. So
I think like $20 or less, I'm doing it on a chisel.
I'm not against it. What? Huh? What?
I think I might do it to a new Stanley. Those are like $25, $30. I might do this to my new Stanley.
except the eighth.
right.
The eighth inch was like $45. Inch and a quarter Stanley, $25. Eighth inch Stanley, $45.
They do is they make a bunch of inch and an eighth and then cut them up. It's much more labor.
I think that video, he was doing it on a Stanley. I didn't actually have the sound on. I was just watching what he was doing.
Out of the 5 or 6 I have, there was only one that took more than a couple minutes to flatten. They were not difficult. All right, should we talk about our smooth moves? Anissa, you brought up the idea of smooth moves, so.
Yeah. You guys should go first. You will never out smooth move me.
My goodness.
I don't know if that's the title I want, but it's where I
Anissa is
am.
officially the smoothest. Okay, so I am making a ukulele, a carved top and back ukulele.
That's so cool.
I know.
Part of the carving process is you drill a bunch of 1/4-inch holes on the back or the top, whatever you're carving, to show you the depth of each element. So, around one line, you do a 1/4-inch or a 3/16 inch deep hole. And around the next line, you do a 5/16 inch deep hole or whatever. Well, for some reason, I could not get my head around which was the front and which was the back and which side I was drilling the holes in. And I thought about it for probably half an hour. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, wait, okay, so I'm carving away this, and I just couldn't wrap my head around it. And eventually I was like, okay, I know what I'm doing here. And I drill one hole, and I go, crap! And it was like a glued up book match panel. And I'm doing an entire practice ukulele right now. So this is like the one that's just got mistakes all over the place. It's fine, and I just continued on with it. But it was that just drill one hole after half an hour of thinking about it, drill one hole, and it was immediately clear to me that I just drilled the wrong side. So I have this, and you can scroll through my Instagram. You won't see the hole. I didn't do that on purpose. I haven't not shown the hole, but I've got this nicely carved ukulele back out of a piece of book matched cherry that has a hole right at the top of it. That's the way it's going to be.
Frank and Laley.
Cool. Barry.
So I just made a box, like a blanket chest kind of thing. That was all frame and panel, including the lid. And so I glued up the base and I glued up the top separately. And I left the horns on the stiles of the top so the end grain didn't get blasted out when mortising.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to cut them off. I just cut them off flush with the rails. Stupid me. Because then I go and set the lid on the box, and things were like, this was primarily done by hand, which isn't a brag. It's to say there were irregularities all over the place, you know? And I trimmed the sides, like the horns. I trimmed them off too much, and so they were about an 1/8 inch shy on one side of the box sides. So the vertical members on the frame and panel box, like you could see the end grain looking down from the top. Is that making sense?
Yeah.
I think so.
So I should have trimmed those horns off when the lid was on, because they needed to be flush to the sides of the lid, and to the sides of the body of the box. But I didn't. I was like, oh, this thing's perfectly square. I did a great job.
I didn't notice, if that helps.
Yeah. Looks
Yeah,
great.
nobody has. But so then I had to plane down those
Now
vertical
everybody
parts.
will.
But now everyone will.
Well, you just told everybody.
But I had to kill a shadow line to plane it down flush because I couldn't have that end grain showing. So now it just kind of boop, tapers up 1/8 to the top.
I'm going to go down and inspect after
It's not
this.
there.
It's at my parents' house now, you
Oh,
sucker.
Well, give his mom a call.
Anissa has my mom's number.
You gave it to me. Oh, no, she did. That's right. Yeah, you wouldn't give it to me. You had me searching Instagram,
Yeah.
and then I reached out. She
right.
seems
Story.
great. You seem like you have a great mom.
I don't deserve my mom.
Probably
Neither
not.
do you. And yet you have her number. All right, Miss Smooth Move.
Yeah. Smoothest of smooth.
So, I've been working on this big honkin' project for a couple years now,
Beautiful project.
and it's almost finished, and it almost killed me, but the bottom section of it has 3 different boxes that line up together, and I cut those boxes. It's been one disaster after another with this thing, but it's a big plywood job, and I cut all of the plywood so that the grain would run straight across the top. I was able to get all 3 tops of those cases out of one sheet of plywood. And then I made sure that the grain on the box that was on the right, no,
Wrap
I
that.
couldn't. I couldn't wrap it. I decided that I was more interested in having the grain go straight across the top of those pieces than having the grain wrap. So I built those boxes about a while ago, and I set them aside, and I did the interior of the boxes later. And with the 3rd box, so the first 2 boxes, all 3 are supposed to run straight across. The first 2 boxes, beautiful. The grain goes across the first one, flows right into the second one, and then at the 3rd box. Because I hung the box upside down. I hung the drawers in that box.
Oh, no.
So there was such a time span between when I did the cases and when I hung the drawers in that 3rd box that if I turn the box upside down and the drawers are upside down, the grain runs straight across the top. But if I hang this box next to the other 2 so that the drawers are actually not upside down, screeching halt to the grain.
Now, at one point, did it ever enter your head, I can deal with the drawers being upside down?
I have to redo it.
What?
I am going to redo it. Well, I intend to redo it
never
when
gonna
the
redo it.
time. It's not that hard of a fix. I just have to cut those
They're side hung,
runners.
right?
They're side hung,
Okay.
very simple runners. I just have to get those off and turn it upside down, re-drill the hanging system on the back of the box, and rehang the drawers.
Your voice got less hyped up as you went on.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out whether the
It's very
new
sad.
issue is going to be out by the time this podcast
Oh,
airs.
yeah, it's in the next issue.
It's on the
It's
cover.
on the next issue. Are you kidding me? Anissa's project got the cover.
Which I
think
did
like
not expect.
a month or two ago, we're sitting at lunch talking about, do we think we'll ever be on the cover? And Mike said, no. Like and Mike, who owns the cover.
Right, yeah.
He's like, it's cool to be on the cover. What's really cool is having a project on the cover.
yeah.
He's like, because who cares about your face? People are reading for your woodworking. And so now Anissa has a project on the cover.
The cover.
Yeah, I wasn't there for that lunch conversation, but I also did not expect that to be on the cover. And now everybody's going to notice that the grain just comes to a screeching halt. And I realized what I had done while Mike was there taking the photographs. Yeah. Because up until then, I mean, the whole thing is supposed to be modular and you can move it around and it's fine.
So
fine.
So for the listeners, because it's going to be a week before you get to see this, before it hits your mailboxes, but it's a modular wall unit and it's 3 wide, and the bottom section is 3 cabinets that are next to each other. Mm-hmm. Could you purposefully put 1 and so you've got 1 and 2 in order, and 3. Put 3 in the middle so that it breaks the grain.
Trust me, I have struggled with every option in my head.
Okay.
Things will not be right until I turn that box over.
All right. Well,
which is never going to happen. So, because I just don't have time for that. So basically, I will never be at peace.
That's the only reason.
Is one of us is going to sneak into our house, flip the drawer upside down.
That would be like if I had elves doing something for me at night. That would be it. Please, somebody just come in and change that so one day I can wake
do
up.
not go in Anissa's house.
Don't. My dog will tear your face off.
For many dogs. All right.
Good point, Ben. Thank you.
Let's take a break.
This episode of Shop Talk Live is brought to you by Varathane. From furniture and cabinets to floors and crafts, professionals and DIYers alike have trusted the color and protection of Varathane since 1958. Varathane wood stain gives rich, true color in 1 coat, and Varathane triple thick polyurethane has the durability of 3 coats in 1. Visit varathanemasters.com for details.
All right, question number 3 is from Jesse. I've recently started the journey into furniture making. Welcome. I have a sliding miter saw and a very old table saw that is only good for rough cutting. I'm looking to purchase a bandsaw or a jointer planer combo. I only have room for 1 and only 110 available. I'm using hand saws and hand planes to do most of the dimensioning of my lumber. For a beginner who has limited space and time in the shop, would a bandsaw or a jointer planer be more advantageous? I'd appreciate any guidance you have to offer to ensure that my next big purchase is a wise choice and will be the most practical.
So how's the pressure?
But I liked you asked him.
Oh, yeah. So I asked him what
kind
upcoming projects.
That was very helpful.
Yeah. Every now and then I'm helpful.
He said,
I'm in the middle of a kitchen remodel for my parents and building the cabinets and a table. After that, I'm reading Mike Pekovich's book, and I want to make his tea box and some kumiko. Eventually, I want to make a nightstand and a medicine cabinet.
I have a feeling you and I are going to be on opposite ends of this.
Well,
I'm not sure which way Ben's going.
I don't think he can do what he wants to do. So he has 110.
Give up.
Well, so I looked up joiner planer combos, which need a lot of power. The only ones that run on 110 are like little 10-inch jobs.
I didn't think of this. Yeah.
And so it's like...
I would stay away from them.
Yeah, because I don't think I would want a 10-inch planer. Like, never mind that it's bench top and probably...
It's not the... Yeah, it's the...
Yeah, like the tables on those things for the joiner
really
like
short.
5 inches long. You know, it's... So I don't think the joiner planer is possible. If you can somehow get 220, that's my pick. Absolutely. Do the joiner planer combo because dimensioning by hand, it sucks, especially thicknessing. And it's just, but so with you not getting a combo machine, I think you can get a benchtop and a little bandsaw for probably the same money, like a benchtop planer, sorry, and a bandsaw. I would definitely do the planer first, though. Hands down planer.
I agree.
I'd also consider doing something about that table saw.
Well, that's the thing with the
Yeah. So what were you going to say?
Well, so what's your argument against the joiner planer combo that runs on 110?
It's tiny.
They're small. I don't know if I've ever seen one with solid reviews.
Yeah, and I looked up like user reviews, which I'm going to say are hit or miss, but the only resource I had available, and they were middling at best.
Yeah. I mean, I would rather have no jointer than having had spent the money and having a bad jointer.
And it sounds like he's proficient with planes.
Exactly.
So get a reference surface, plane that some gun.
Yeah. I say bandsaw and benchtop planer. You can get a benchtop planer for $250, $350.
Yeah.
$350 easy. Used probably $250.
Mm-hmm.
And then get, a used $500 bandsaw.
Yeah.
And carry on.
So if you had to pick joiner, planer, or bandsaw, what are you picking? Like that?
Yeah. Without the power constraints, or with the power constraint?
No. I mean, the power constraint is an actual constraint.
So then I think you guys are right. I thought I was going to be arguing against the whole.
You can say it.
Well, I just thought you would take an opposite view, but yours is very sensible, and I think you're right.
So
she expected you to be absurd.
I know.
And sometimes
buy some extra hand planes, sir. All right, so you have his tooling, some hand tools, a miter saw, and a janky table saw.
Well, the table saw thing is.
So I'm still doing planer first. Like I'm dealing with the crappy table saw and still doing a planer. Well, how about you guys? Because I think we answered his question. So let's answer the question behind the question.
Okay. I wish he had given us an actual budget to answer his question that he didn't ask. So, because then I would maybe.
It's not a budgetary thing, though. It's a space constraint.
Because if he was looking at combo machines, the 10-inch combo one I want to say was $600. Because after that, like the ones that run on 220, it's a big price jump. Yeah, I think like the Grizzly's $1,500 or $1,600.
I hate to just agree with you over and over, but I think that I think the planer opens up the widest world of possibilities.
Yeah, you can do.
You have to have a planer, and I know everyone says like, "Oh, my last power tool that I get rid of will be a bandsaw," and I agree with that too. But I think that the first power tool that I would get would be a plane, not after a table saw. Yeah, I would get the planer before a bandsaw. That's how I did it. I didn't have a jointer or access to a jointer until I came to work at the magazine. There's many ways around that, and trust me, you're not getting my joiner from me. But you can do a lot of things to get around using a joiner.
And you can use a planer like a joiner.
Yes. You can make a sled. Mm-hmm. You can, hand plane, reference surface, plane it. There's plenty of ways around that. A table saw, if you're doing cabinets, like kitchen cabinets, I don't know how you're going to do it without a table saw efficiently. Yeah, so I think maybe the question behind the question, planer and shop for an old unisaw.
Or even go Bosch or SawStop, one of those.
The job site?
The job site ones that collapse and you can push over. I would be hard without a table saw to do the kind of stuff that he's talking about.
Yeah, I agree.
So, can I say two more quick things about live?
Okay.
Well, one is for the third year in a row, I beat Barry at
No,
horse.
nonsense. Your
You know
kids
what?
beat me
But
for the
no, you
first
guys-
year.
You guys aren't working hard enough.
Well, no, we are. We just, it was just a 5-minute horse break. This hotel, what,
Where's
Jim, have
the-
you
where's
ever,
It was
basketball.
horse poop. Okay, if you're playing with your kids.
what hotel has a basketball court in their fitness center? Most of them have one of those balls that you like can bounce around on, or one treadmill. This place has a pool, a hot tub, a basketball court, a racquetball court. What's that other thing? It's like handball ball or something like
The
that.
hotel's from the 1940s and it's in Brooklyn. They got some handball.
But no, the other thing is
It's right next to the hot springs. Hey.
we do the gallery of student work and presenter work every
yeah.
year. But it occurred to me how brave these people must be to bring their work to an environment where there will be about 500, I might be exaggerating a little
Yeah.
bit, woodworkers, professional hobbyists, woodworking fans, like people who really know what to look for and inspect. And they're just like touching this stuff and looking at it and talking to you about how you made it. Like I can't even imagine.
There's not one piece in there that
Oh,
I
they
would
all hold
not
up.
have like absolutely said, "Hey, everybody, I made this."
No, exactly.
Yeah,
but how nerve-wracking that must be
Yeah.
to have the presenters pouring over it and the other woodworkers and the other students. It's just, and the phenomenal work that they bring.
The student gallery is easily one of my favorite things about live. Easily. Like the talks are cool, and the students are there so you can talk with them and talk
Yeah.
with, it's a really fantastic vibe. So, and it feels weird enjoying it that much because it feels unlive. Like it's not like you're going for the talks and the
Yeah,
presenters.
yeah.
But then there's just like, oh, and there's a student gallery? What?
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
And the work is amazing.
Unless you have to
Very well
carry it in.
curated. Nice job with that, Anissa.
No, that's not what I was getting at. But thank you. And I didn't curate that by myself.
Yeah. No, for me, the best part is, and you know, like, it sounds sappy and all that crap, but the best part is talking to the people who, especially the podcast listeners. It's really fun to get that feedback, to like, you know, to have people giving you ideas, and like the remix from the last episode actually came from somebody at the bar, you know, and they're like, your remix should be Vic Teslin. I was like, thank you. You know, it's like having those conversations.
My first time on the podcast, you mentioned my nickname, BFD.
Yeah.
You're like, but I can't say the F. And I joked that my middle name is Francis. I met a Barry Francis at Live.
Oh my goodness! Yes.
He's
I
like-
totally forgot about the BFD part. Yeah.
He's like, hey, Barry Francis. I go, no, it's kid. And he goes, no, I'm Barry Francis. I like Live.
Yeah. It's
Live is great.
it's fun. It's fun. All right.
Oh, wait, I have one more thing about Live. Just one quick one. I swear. I love asking Jeff over and over if he needs help. Every time I see him in the hallway, do you need anything? Because I know he's going to say no. He just can't. He's just in that zone where it's harder to have explain to somebody else what they need.
Yeah.
And you feel less guilty because you've offered,
Right.
knowing you
Yeah.
don't have to actually tell him. That's
Hey,
good.
Jeff, how's it going? Do you need any help with anything? No, I'm good. Okay, see ya.
I do enjoy though that like that's like as in the trenches like
Yeah.
that we get as a staff
Team.
and I didn't want to be
We're
like
a
team
team.
guy, you know, whatever. But you know, like there's that every time you walk by one of the other people here in this room, there was like, I think it was just always good.
Yeah.
Good. And it really did go smoothly this year.
It was really
Yeah, it was great. And attendees are helping us set up and break down, which is really cool
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
But like you meet these people and year after year, and now they're just, hey, can I give you a hand? And we have so much help from people who came to not work
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
enjoy themselves. It's great.
It's like their vacation and they're, you know,
Yeah.
hauling around workbenches on a pallet jack.
Hey, no, that was me.
I know. I was right there as it went into the wall in the back.
Because you were writing it.
That happened too. All right, we've got a couple of iTunes reviews, and if anyone is wondering how they can help Shop Talk Live, there's two things you can do. You can subscribe to the magazine, or you can get an unlimited membership. That helps. Or you can leave a review on iTunes or your favorite podcast app. That helps new people find the podcast, and it's always a good thing. So, from New Woodworker, another vote for a weekly show. I enjoy the show, and I like the rotation of participants and guests. One of the most instructional, thoughtful, and refined woodworking programs out there.
Oh, that was before this episode.
Yeah.
Also, it's not boring. It's refreshing. I look forward to each new show. Would be great if they were weekly. And then from JDJ21989, I work out of town remodeling grocery stores. I usually go home every other weekend. This is perfect listening material for the long drive and when I'm jonesing to be in the shop. I had to become an unlimited subscriber, even though I have no clue what I receive. Email me, bstrano@taunton.com. I'll guide you through the unlimited membership. I can't get enough fine woodworking. A++++++. Thank you for that, JDJ21989. All right, so recommendations. I have one. The Prisma Color Premier Pencil Sharpener.
Oh.
It's a dual angle pencil sharpener. I sharpen my shop pencils low angle. They last longer. They don't break. It is life altering. If I pick up a pencil in my shop that is not sharpened with the low angle, I break the tip off and resharpen it. I had this conversation with Tom, and he thought I was crazy. I was expecting this audience to be a little bit more receptive.
Because I've used the point from that sharpener. It's nice. It's a nice sharpener.
Okay.
Anybody else have a recommendation?
Kettlebells. Wonderful for fitness, but they can help hold down panel glue-ups.
Oh, you posted something about that today.
Mm-hmm.
I thought you were
stuck in
just
traffic
showing
today.
off. Hey, I work out.
No, that one is covered in dust.
Okay. What weight do you recommend?
Oh man, they get pricey as they get heavier.
Okay.
And so I don't know if I would. Just know your kilograms.
Why not just a rock?
Yeah, any weight. I mean, the kettlebells are nice. I like the handle is nice for picking them up, as opposed to a dumbbell, which I feel like is either a one-handed operation or you're grabbing either end.
Well, it's a
And I
flat
don't love
bottom
it.
too, right? Like a dumbbell is going to put all the pressure in two spots.
Which could be nice. But yeah, the kettlebell, it's one spot that's 3-4 inches across. Probably 3.
Weird.
It's great.
Weird one.
Yeah. I recommend a rock for the same thing that Barry used.
But you
the kettlebell
can't do kettlebell snatches with a rock. I've never done a rock snatch.
Yeah.
Okay.
Rock.
Well, it's official. That's all for this episode of Shop Talk Live.
This will be the last time you see this particular grouping.
If you have any questions you'd like us to answer on the show, send them into shoptalk@taunton.com. If you're watching on YouTube, please click that thumbs up button. We'll be back in 2 weeks with another episode and 3 new hosts. Thanks for listening. Paper. Rock. Paper.
Totally forgot that I'm sending this to Ben. Totally forgot your drill, but you'll be there tomorrow. Sorry. He responds and he says, I hate you. To which I say, I hate you too. Please tell me you don't need it tonight. Nope, it's just a new theme. I hate you regardless of the need for my drill. And I say,
harsh.
oh, okay.
Oh my God. There was no.
But the sadder thing is, I just sat in my car laughing.